So everyone can see my screen, is it? Okay, good. Oh. All right, thank you, Commander, okay, for those informations. Right, it's quite sad also, okay, to having okay some of our friends who actually cannot actually make it to those, right? I actually, for lecture class, I really hardly basically going to call every names there, right? Because we're going to running a lot of time from there, right? But for the lecturing class, I'm going to take a look more closer, okay, on the attendance there. I just take a look, okay, some of the students which is I actually have can remember the names. I'm going to call the names there, right? Okay, whether they are going to joining our class or not, right? Alice, are you here, Alice?
Yeah.
Alice? All right, thank you, there, Alice. All right. Julong, are you here, right, Julong? I saw you just now, right, Julong? Are you here? All right, thank you, Julong. All right. All right, let me. All right, I just want to what we call double check, okay, because easy for me to see from here, okay, from the students kind of works. Jelong, did you actually send it over any kind of exercise? Before I'm going to double check back again. Okay, you have that right. Okay, good. But no attachment there from there, Jelong. Right, you send over your progressions there, right? Okay, don't just wait there, right? Jelong. Like I said, okay, we don't want to make yourself okay repeat a little bit more further from that, because you've been actually in my classes, right, for almost 2 semesters, okay, the same subject, if I'm not mistaken, is that right? So basically, you actually can catch it up with more further, okay, on what is going on from there. At least take a look at some of your friends' kind of submissions over here. Guys, can you see what is going on over here? What are obviously the current kind of what we call the situation that we can see, we can comment from this submission, okay, from same Hong there, okay. I'm not actually choose them by any kind of plan, okay. I just basically okay, randomly choose, okay, some of your friends folks over here, okay. Just want to see how actually they go from here there, right? So what are the common mistakes that we can solve from these drawings there, okay, guys? I know they're actually right. He can actually capture the structures really well when it comes to develop the drawings with a reference on top of it, okay? But what if later on, okay, we need to reimagine this kind of drawing or reimagine the pose? Okay, what are the things that we're going to, the obstacle, the challenges that we have normally there, okay? I would say there, okay, if you keep doing the same kind of methods that you draw right now, Okay, for the rest of you guys also the same thing. Okay, I can actually write. I assume that, okay, I can assume, I can guarantee that, okay, most of you guys, not all of you guys, will have a difficulty in developing your kind of drawing method and skills. Okay, you're going to use this kind of methods there to draw that. Okay, and of course, I would say this is one of the wrong way to draw or to develop your skill, using the tablet or by drawing using those pencils directly. If you keep doing the same kind of techniques or methods like this, I cannot help you to develop your skill from here. Okay, I cannot actually help you guys. Okay, frankly speaking, okay, generally speaking, I cannot, right? Because this is not the way that I actually show you guys how to work with your kind of methods or techniques. If you really want to improve your drawing skills, all right, if you want to improve your drawing skills, this is not the right methods there. So I'm recording the sessions. I'm going to upload in my YouTube there, okay? And you guys can take a look, basically my statement there, right? Okay? Because I really warn you guys, I really, what we call that, consult with you guys, okay? A lot of time there, okay? Please don't go back into these old habits of drawings. You won't learn anything from there. You can draw based on the reference, but you're not going to be improve your drawing skills. All right, if your parents later on watch this kind of video, for example, okay, this is basically my statement there, okay, because I really warn you guys there, okay, warn you gently there, right, that don't go back into this kind of drawing skills. This is one of the methods that we don't want to develop, okay, if you want to improve your skills. If people ask me back again, how actually, right, okay, we can actually acknowledge and understand what kind of the right way to draw that, okay? You guys can take a look, okay, at my previous kind of demonstrations there. I can skip basically my kind of, what we call that, my kind of mumbling kind of things that actually talking about all this kind of stuff. You guys can go direct, basically, okay, skip and go direct to those, the way that I actually show you guys how actually I move my hands when I draw them that. So it's a matter of to change the way you draw. To change the way you draw them, to change the way you move your hands, okay, at the same time. All right, to go back into what you guys have and what people doesn't have there, okay, this is the thing that you have to really understand there, right? Okay, I already shared some of these visual informations, okay, not to offend people, but to give you guys some sort of perspective, that in the new perspective, right, to see that we must be grateful to what we have. Okay, we must be able to have a grateful, okay, we have to grateful to what we have, okay, we have to be thankful what we have there, okay, because even though everyone is not perfect there, okay, but you guys have the same kind of amount, kind of physical kind of what we call the ability that some people doesn't have. All right, you have to remember that. Okay, so what I'm going to do here, right, okay, take a look here, okay, some of your friends kind of works there. Not some of the things that I can share with some of your friends there, right, okay. Anyway, I can remember, okay, because I cannot actually send it over by names, okay, the names there. All right, if we take a look here, right, okay, let me check back, okay. Okay, the line works here, right? The line works over here, right, okay. It will show those confidence there, guys. Okay, confidence, okay, when it comes to drawings here. Okay, this is one of the exercise that we did basically for group 6, which is I find out, okay, that the student, if you really want to draw on top of the layers that, okay, draw on top, not just tracing there, okay, you must apply the contour line drawing exercise, okay, for the last week, kind of what we call the developments there, okay. And please don't get confused, okay, because there's a lot of method, there's a lot of technique that we have to try basically, okay. If I want to put everything inside every week kind of exercise, there are going to be a tons of what we call this more than 6 drawing that you have to complete there, right? Because I have a complaint with some of the students who doesn't want to do a lot of work because they don't actually have basically that kind of what we call that understanding that this is the period of time that you need to develop and improve a lot of your skills there. You have to do a lot of exercise from there. Okay, some of the amount of work that I can actually give previously there, okay, you guys can ask Jun Long, you can ask Alice, you can ask Wen Shin there, okay, we're not going to be suitable for most of the students who actually doesn't actually have a major concern about the obstacle and also the challenge that they have there, right? They won't do any kind of good for them, this kind of person sometimes, okay, because they don't actually focus on why actually we do those kind of exercise there a lot. Because we have to practice our hands, our coordination, our hands and mind and eyes together to improve our drawing skills there. If you just work only 6 drawing for a week, but there is no quality of drawings from there, there's no point there, okay? That's why we have to go back into basically our fundamental kind of exercise there. Because learning illustration is not only about learning various type of mediums there, okay? From watercolors, markers, color pencils, that all those kind of things, only a medium there. But the way that you control those mediums using the strokes there, okay? Using basically your controlling kind of pressure line there, okay? And flows are going to make more effective kind of changes from your techniques that you actually think inside your mind there. Right? That's why when you go back into this, what we call that the fundamental foundations kind of drawing exercise there, okay? This is contour line drawing exercise over here. All right? Basically, this contour line drawing exercise is not a tracing kind of exercise there. This is basically an observations kind of exercise. Basically, want to develop the flow, the structures of our drawing skills there. If you do a lot of this exercise and then you apply back it into those traditional methods there, even though you cannot draw on top of the layers there, okay, you will improve more on your understanding on your observations there first. No matter how much technique that I'm going to show you guys, okay, from now on, okay, if you don't actually improve your drawing skills there, all those techniques is only a part of those knowledge, but your drawings are going to be look a bit more like awkward, and also or some of the laymen actually will use the, okay, the term is ugly, bad kind of drawing, for example, okay. You won't be able to see the quality of line from there, the quality of line from your drawings from there. When you draw with hesitations, just like you saw just now from your friends kind of works there, right? You guys can see basically the quality of line that he tried to produce for you. Sim Hong, please take notes on that. All right, okay? I actually randomly, what we call that, use your kind of videos there. Thank you very much basically for upload and submit there, okay? And I want you to improve from here, okay? Even though you can draw everything really well by drawing on top of the lay, doesn't mean that you're going to be improve your drawing skills there, okay? The only thing that we use for drawing on top of the lay, because will help most of the students who don't have that kind of package of skills can develop more further on their understanding there, to give more assistance there, okay, to help the student who cannot draw well can improve your drawing skill from these techniques. That's the reason why I use this kind of techniques. I basically create this kind of techniques, okay, for my students. If I want to train every one of you guys like professional, purely professional there, okay, I won't use this kind of methods there. Because I know basically you guys are amateurs, beginners there, okay, and some of you guys basically really need help there to see, to observe really well, okay, because they cannot actually use their kind of 6 senses of understanding there, okay, to develop the like a traditional kind of foundations kind of techniques there, okay, because not all people be treating themselves to become an artist or designer there, okay, but they jump into multimedia because they thought that This is one of the easiest way to get through to the path to get the certificate or diploma or degree or master there, right? Okay. But right now, you guys can see that, right? Other than some of the students have the difficulty in financially their way to further their study, that I really feel better because I have also my kind of daughter right now who actually going to pursue those kind of her way basically to uni there, okay, in UITM to taking culinary there, okay, studies there, diploma, okay, at Penang there, okay. So I also felt that kind of bad, okay, if some of the students cannot continue the studies there, because I have also my kind of daughters right here, okay, or going to continue study. Hopefully, I can actually write financially, can actually write plan for her there, okay, at the same time there, right. So I believe my job is okay to make people's okay works a bit more easy, but every single thing that we're going to do in this life are not going to be easy like that, right? Even though some people try to make you guys okay go through with it in a more easier path, but it's not going to be easy all the time there, okay? They always have the obstacles there. Okay, they always have the obstacle from there. So you have to remember that, okay? There is no such thing as a freelance sometimes unless you get lucky there, okay? Unless you get lucky there, okay? At that day there, okay? For example, okay, I have this experience also before, okay? When I actually write, there's a time basically, okay, in my life, okay, for a few years back, okay, I have only a few number kind of bucks in my kind of pocket there, okay. This is this true stories there, okay. So I always, okay, what we call that, when wake up in the mornings, I ride my bikes to nearby kind of restaurants, okay, placement that I can live out, okay. And of course, okay, I always make a lot of old friends, all these vintage kind of what we call it, old kind of folks, okay, as a friend, okay, during that time there. So I always bring ngam kind of money in my pocket, okay, at the time there, okay. But in a week, they actually have wait for my some of the freelance, some of the work, some of the payment that I can actually going to take, okay, for another week, okay, they have to wait there, okay. So at that time, okay, I never actually tell anyone that, okay, that I have only a ngam in the pocket in the mornings. After sana selamat or tarik there, right? Okay. So what happens there, right? This is basically lucky or maybe in terms of the God wills there, right? So in from that period of time, okay, I didn't actually told anyone that I don't have any enough money to eat, only ngam money for me to eat at the time there, okay. And then suddenly there, okay, every morning on that week, after I greet people, lepak, talk, chat with some of the old folks over there, when I want to pay my kind of what we call that, my kind of breakfast, they always a person, random stranger are going to be paid for my kind of breakfast every morning. But I never told anybody about it, right? Okay, I just thought, right, then I'm going to pay myself. Lah. But suddenly there's someone actually going to pay. Right? Okay. This basically is something that there's, I think we call luck or maybe it's God wills there. Okay? There's key there, right? Okay, from there. So you have to trust also from that kind of thing. Right? If you make good to other people sometime, okay, there always some good things happens to you, but not from the person that you make good on it, right? Okay, but someone else may be there, right? Okay, we never know that. But I never basically what we call that approach or think that I want to take those advantage from there, okay? Because I always bring my money, okay, to breakfast there, okay? I'm willing to pay that for me, but suddenly someone actually pay, okay, for 1 week there. So that's why, okay, some people, okay, try to make good, try to make okay, but they always think that can be happens good for you also in the same time, okay? But of course, there always going to be obstacle also challenging that you have to face, that you have to prepare yourself. But even though you don't prepare, you have always to think about plan A, B, and C, okay, to work with it. Same goes to what we do from here, okay? For me, okay, I try to provide one of the easiest paths, okay, that I can find quite very practical for some of you guys who really cannot draw well, can develop your skills from here first. But you need to help yourself to do a lot of exercise from there. and follow first exactly what I've told you before you're going to improve and develop more further on your skills there. But don't go back into your old skills of drawings. How many times I told you guys the same thing there, guys? Okay, don't go back into your old skills of drawings there. If you find your old skill of drawings is basically whack, lousy, and not basically look properly been done by professionals there, right? Because we want to train you guys to sketch like professionals there first. Sketch like a professional first, okay, in illustration class, and then you can improve more on your illustration skill from there. Okay, that's basically the main objective here there right now. Okay, for our assignment, for every of our exercise there. All right, so make sure you guys please don't go back into that old skills of drawings there. Okay, it doesn't look professional there. If you keep on doing the same kind of methods like this, all right, hesitations when you draw there, okay, hesitate when you draw there, okay, you're not going to improve your drawing skills there. This is not the way that we're going to develop the constructive line for those structures there. See, I didn't teach you guys to draw like this there. Who actually teach you draw like this one there, right? Same home. Right? I don't want you basically, right, to say that, okay, this is basically my method there, right? When people ask, okay, this is how actually your lectures actually teach you. If people ask me, okay, I didn't teach him to draw like this. All right? I put the statement, I didn't teach you to draw like this one. You should actually improve more further from here. Each one of you guys who actually apply this kind of drawings there. One. All right? Okay, remember that, guys, this is one of your friends kind of works there because I saw group 6 basically have this kind of difficulties that works. Okay, take a look here though, okay? Even though, okay, we can see that this person basically try hard enough basically to develop strokes there, right? Same Hong, take a look here, all right? You guys can compare your drawings and some of your friends' works right here. See? This is the right way to sketch, even though some of the areas from here a little bit more like roughly and also hesitate a little bit there, right? But most of all, overall, we can see the right way to sketch, right? Okay, the line works really confident sometimes, okay? You can see the confidence kind of line from there. Even though it's not quite accurate, but still in the beginning process, it looks okay, okay? It looks good, okay? Okay, this is the contour line drawings, continuous line drawing exercise that we did before. I actually asked group 6 kind of students to apply it from there. All right. Okay, this kind of drawing, some of them look okay, but some of them is not. Basically, has hesitation from there. Right. We normally, okay, with the circle line also right here. Can you see some of the mistakes from there? Okay, there's a lot of hesitation on the shapes of it there. Okay. So it can be improved a bit more further from there, all right? And I always look into the quality of line there, okay? And confidence kind of line from the whole structures here. Okay, if you say basically, okay, it's hard for you to draw and learn to develop your skills there, right? From here, let me check there, right? Okay. Whether I can get it again. Okay, this drawing also quite confident I can see from here. All right, quite confident. Okay, especially when I look into the faces and some of the lines of it have the confidence line there, guys. You guys have to be improved from here. Okay, can be improved from here, hopefully. If you guys saw some of your friends kind of works there. Okay, the quality of line that she or he produced there, okay, you can see those kind of confidence there. So improve your drawing from now on, okay? For those who actually submit the works last week, you guys can improve back again your drawing skill before I'm going to make those kind of, what we call that? Before I'm going to take those marks from there, all right? Okay? Please there, guys, see? Improve your drawing skill from there. before you're going to submit your final work for this week, I'm going to do those demonstrations right here. Okay. I just want to take a look some of your friends kind of works there, right? Okay. If there is some of the that I can share with you. Okay. Here, right? Okay, can you see there? Okay, some of your friends here. Okay, when they draw the circle for those head, right? It look a bit more like an alien kind of shape there, right? Okay, so avoid that. I didn't teach you to draw like that, right? Okay, please basically right, improve from there. Well, basically, right? Okay, it's kind of what we call that. I cannot see it, right? Cannot find some of your friend work from here. It's okay there, right? Okay. I think it's hard to see to find from there, okay. But you guys can see from here, okay, the quality of line that you saw some of your friends have done there, okay. The stroke itself. Okay, this is basically our main objective of this exercise before going to work with those assignments, okay, for this week, okay, to test basically your drawing skill back, okay. All right, that's basically one of the important kind of understanding that we have to develop from last week exercise there. All right, so I want to share with you guys here, okay, when it comes to designing characters in the future, there, right, okay, especially also to develop your skills and understanding the right, okay. So we have to break down every single element of our design into a basic shapes there. So if you take a look like some of the professional kind of drawings there, okay, who actually design characters, they always start with all these kind of fundamental foundations kind of structures there. That's why we want to develop the kind of understanding by using this kind of exercise last week's in order to develop for this week kind of what we call that illustrations or those kind of final kind of works for your project one there, okay. So I want you guys to have that kind of alert, kind of like awareness there, right, basically there, okay. Because if you want to design any characters there, guys, any character design there, okay, from any creatures there, monsters, robots, humans, superheroes there, animals, dogs there, right, okay, whatever that we call there, okay. Try to break down your design and understand your structures, your design into those basic shapes there, okay, those primitive kind of shapes there, okay. That's how you can improve more your understanding. Don't draw directs, okay, from your kind of line of works, okay. And of course, okay, today I'm going to show you guys, okay, most of the drawing that you saw right here, they actually draw from their imaginations directly. But before you're going to apply your imagination, you need to have reference there. That's why I'm using the same reference to develop that kind of design there, okay? Because it will help some of you guys who still doesn't understand how it works. It's okay there, okay? But you can use a reference to work with it. But not use other people's reference to draw your own those design there, okay? But we basically use actual reference or actual kind of live reference, okay, to design fictional kind of characters there. Okay, fictional characters there, okay? So I did basically show some of the students, okay, some of the groups basically how to draw basically those kind of alignment. I guys can check back again later on those videos there. Because I want to develop also another extra videos basically for you guys there, okay, later on, okay, from there. Because to compile everything, okay, one of the videos for drawing basically the basic structures of faces and also set profiles, okay, all these kind of things there. for our lecturing class, I'm going to give you guys some overall kind of look and feel on those kind of exercise or those kind of methods that first works on that. So if you take a look right here, right now, okay. So this is also one of the methods that good methods for you guys to see the alignments of each single kind of what we call that elements of the human face or characters there before you're going to draw them. But if you check look closely there, okay, how actually they draw them, the line work, the strokes there, okay, learn from there. Learn how actually they move the strokes, okay. Try to get this kind of strokes with your drawings there. You guys can use this, that's digital pencil kind of tools, which is we use basically for our week 6 or 5 exercise, right, okay, to develop basically the same kind of strokes over there. You can basically, right, okay. You guys can also try to draw back again this kind of characters there, okay, or for your own kind of what we call that exercise there, okay, but not for my classes there. If you just want to practice how to draw the eyes, for example, okay, you guys can use the same methods that works, but don't use for your formal exercise. You can actually can use your drawing on your sketchbooks, drawing on your kind of time there, okay, your leisure time to practice yourself from there. Okay, there is no restriction basically, or you cannot do this or you cannot do that. Okay, you just try that first. Okay, don't be too naive to say, okay, if I don't ask you guys to do this, you don't do that. Okay, but the problem is, I didn't ask you guys to draw like this one there, right? But you still draw them there. So what's the point basically if I actually avoid you to draw something that you're supposed not to do the right thing, but you're still doing the right. So just improve yourself from there. Okay, always, okay, find your inner self that say that, okay, if you trust your guts that, okay, that you do is right, it's right there, okay. But when you draw this kind of thing, for example, that, okay, you know basically it's wrong, why you have to continue them. It's a problem there. Some people say they know basically what they do actually is wrong there, right? But they still continue to work on this kind of methods there. So you have to trust your guts there. Okay? You have to trust your feeling from there. Yes, Yuki, what is it there, Yuki? You want to ask anything there? No? Wong Yuki there, right? No, right? So remember that, guys. Okay, this is some of the things that I think some of you guys, I'm afraid most of you guys who are might going to continue with this kind of drawings there. Please don't, right? Okay. Sim Hong, please improve there. Long, I don't see any kind of drawings from here. I want to see that, right? Okay. So if you want to plan to draw like that, please don't go back into that kind of drawings there, right? Okay. So remember that, guys. Okay, to work on that. So, guys. So if you take a look at all these kind of drawings that you saw there, okay, try to take a look how actually they draw the basic structures there first. Okay, the line work they produce for sketch there, right? Those are the things really important for us to work from there. All right. So now, okay, we have this kind of two different kind of reference that works. Okay, two different kind of reference that works there. Right? Now, normally, okay, when we want to design characters there, we have to design in 3 different positions there. 3 different positions there, okay? Front, side, three-quarter, and also back view, maybe 4 or 5 there, okay? Positions of those we call model sheets there, right? But in order for you to develop that kind of skills, right, okay, there's a few number kind of exercise that we do there, okay? But I don't want to focus on that for this semester there. So, like I said, our main focus basically is always basically to develop your skills there first. Not only your knowledge at the same, okay? We can combine the knowledge there, but not too much there, okay? But because if I give you guys a lot of what we call that knowledge on developing those kind of methods, okay, you will have a lot of exercise on that, okay? But of course, we have to make sure that we can actually minimize those exercises, but we focus on the quality of methods that we're supposed to do there, okay? So, like I said, okay, when you want to draw something, you have to imagine the shapes of those structures there. If you still draw like this one, right? how actually you're going to improve your drawing here, there, right? This is not the right way to draw that here. Sketch your line, okay? So you have to improve your sketch line first. Okay? Your sketch line there first, right? Okay? Even though you might going to make some mistake there, right? Okay? From here, because it's not that hard, it's not that easy for you guys to work, but at least, see, improve basically your drawings from now on there, right? This is something that we want to do here in order to develop our skills. All right, to sketch line, to design it, the sketch line there first, okay? Now this is the line of actions. I bet the neck are going to be right here. This is going to be difficult a little bit, okay? Because you cannot see the neck basically there, right, from there, all right? But you can use your intuitions at the same time, and I give you guys some knowledge from here to develop those skills. So draw basically the shoulder first, shoulder kind of, and hips kind of positions, which is a little bit kind of diagonal there, right? In order for you to see whether the drawing is right or not. Okay, when you compare your drawings and your sketch line, okay, if you can use this kind of line works, I mean you're right. Some people, when they draw this kind of jawline and also the face, I saw some of the mistake, they try to draw like this. See? Draw one stroke first and then draw another one there, right? That's how it goes. All right, that's how it goes there. Okay. So if I want to design something from these basic structures of you and find some of the reference, of course, to find an ideas there, okay, you have to browse your kind of informations by using Googles like this, right? Okay, and you have to do more research. For example, if you want to draw, for example, any kind of characters that you have in mind there, okay, like a mermaid, a warrior, princess, or whatever that you need to right. Do some research like this. All right. Even though you have a reference that you have in your kind of what we call that samples over here, it doesn't mean basically are going to help you a lot in order to develop your kind of creativities there. So the best way to develop your imaginations by having enough kind of reference that works. All right. Find some of the reference there. What kind of warriors, what kind of, for example, like this is only a samples, right? Okay, what type of warrior princess that you want to draw, for example, or what kind of robots that you want to design, okay? To play with our imaginations, you must be able to have a lot of understanding, knowledge, and experience. Without those experience that you apply from your imaginations, it won't help you to go further from there, right? But not trace from other people's works there, right? Or copy from other people's work entirely there. You have to use all these kind of ideas there in order to generate your kind of developments later on. But of course, all these kind of informations, data collections, right, okay, you have to keep into one side there, okay, and then you are actually going to use them back later on to redesign your kind of work there. But all those kind of understanding were not going to be helpful if you don't actually improve this first stage of drawing skills there. Understand the whole structure there first to develop this kind of skills. That's basically one of the things that you have to remember that first. And always keep that in your mind when you want to draw them there. So some people that I saw that they still draw like this one, trace. Also, it's not the right way that you work. It's a bad habit kind of drawing there. It's really a bad habit kind of drawing skills there. So please don't go back into that kind of drawing skills there, guys. Okay? If you really want to improve your drawing skill, if you really feel concerned about your skills, don't go back into that kind of skills of drawing there. If you saw basically how actually I work on it, normally right? I'm going to draw a circle line like this, right? Control them really well. Not too much there, right? And I'm going to draw the basic structures that actually apply, okay, directions of those faces. That's what I draw like this one there, okay? I didn't draw half of it, okay? If I'm going to draw half of it, all right, I'm going to draw the half of it like this there, right, okay? That measure between the eyes, the chin, and also the head, okay? So I'm going to draw basically the jawline over here, which I believe right here, okay, the jawline there, okay? Can you see the way I put my hands and look at, not look at my hands, look at how actually I move the cursor there, right? So this is basically, right? Basically there, okay, the shapes of those faces from there. All right, faces from there. So from here, okay, I'm going to put a bit more general there, okay. So this is basically the neck, cylinder shapes of the neck, okay. So we put it right here. So the ears basically going to be right here, there, right? The ears. Okay. Take a look how I actually draw basically the part of those ears there. So right here, basically the right, okay, this is basically the skulls of it, okay, roughly the skulls of it. So from here, I'm going to draw basically the line that actually right define basically the shoulders alignments. Okay, right. This is basically the chest, okay, the upper body is okay. And take a look at the lower body also there, right? And also the hip itself there. The pelvis are going to be right here. Okay. Draw the like a V shapes kind of shapes there from here. You apply the lower body there, right? So the line work that I produce right now is really light and soft there. Really soft kind of line there, right? And the line of actions that I draw right now, this is the line of actions there, okay? The line of actions that actually define basically the positions that, okay, that the body going to be used as a part of those direct of the postures there. So that's how actually I divide basically those kind of shapes from here there, right? Okay. And then if you look closely, okay, every single shapes of these elements that we're going to draw will basically inside those boxes there. So every single parts of human shapes or any kind of shape they want to draw will came from the boxes there, guys. So you have to imagine basically, okay, when we draw someone, okay, or any elements, okay, they came from these boxes over here. And from these boxes, basically, we are going to divide into the shapes there, okay, the primitive shape that apply from there. There's like a cylinder shapes here. Then we can actually improvise them, right, from the cylinder shapes into the muscle kind of structures there, right? We only use this one to guide us, okay, and also to measure between the arms and also the hands that get all together, okay. From here, okay, you can see this came from the square there, okay, that we actually bend a little bit over the square there, okay, into those this kind of shapes there, okay, to draw those hands. From here, basically, okay, there's triangles and also some sort of cylinders there. We divide the whole thing into geometrics in primitive shapes. See? All right. Basically, there's a 1, 2, 3, all right, kind of parts for those fingers. We not actually draw the whole thing because just without any kind of reasons there, guys, okay? We're drawing because we want to make sure that we want to draw those fingers later on. We know basically how to measure that, how to engage with the kind of structures that in a right way. So you don't actually just simply draw them without having that kind of understanding there, okay? you see that back again? Okay, how good basically, okay, the quality of line that I have produced from here. Then later on, if we want to develop a little bit kind of understanding on those structures there, okay. For example, if I want to draw, okay, the eyes itself, okay, normally when I want to sketch, okay, let's just say I want to sketch in different way there, okay. I want to design basically these characters, okay. Okay. Suddenly I have this kind of, I have this kind of what we call that ideas there, okay. I want to design this one because I love basically cyborg kind of robots kind of things there. So based on the basic shape there, okay, circle and another small circles right here to look into this kind of positions there, okay, the alignment from here there, okay. So the nose itself, the nose, I'm going to simplify them. Okay. Okay. The lips itself, this is the lips there, right? So I'm going to draw like a puppet kind of shapes there, right? There. See how actually using my imaginations to works on this kind of design there, right? So from here, the ears there, okay, I'm going to use basically some sort of like another oval kind of shapes and another oval kind of shapes right here, right? And then I'm going to use triangles there. And the triangles I can actually break this part over here and make a little bit more details there. We're playing with this kind of imagination. Did I have any reference? Yes. Right here, my reference right here, because I'm using my kind of understanding, my kind of knowledge, my kind of experience, and my kind of reference and research. Basically, I already kept in my mind, okay, and developed them back from there. Okay. But for you guys, if you want to develop that kind of ideas and understanding there to design any characters from here, go into research, okay? Find your objective, how actually you're going to design that first, okay? I'm only show you guys basically this camera because I want to you guys have that kind of, we call it kind of understanding there, okay? If you want to draw some things, you must be able to develop that kind of knowledge all the time, okay? This one, okay, there has to be looked round a little bit like it, half of it, okay, half circles there. So from here, because I want to, what we call that, divide this kind of mechanical kind of shapes here, okay, into more logic kind of shapes there, right? From here, maybe, okay, I want to design a bit more like this one there, okay, the shapes there, right? You see, okay, slowly, basically, I really developed basically a shapes of the cyborg or robot woman based on the geometric primitive kind of shapes. Okay. When we want to design something, we don't have to be rushed, okay? You must be able to open up your mind and understanding that to develop those kind of skills from there. Using the primitive shapes kind of what we call that methods that works. That's why primitive shape is really strong kind of what we call that elements that you guys can use, okay, to develop your skills. Don't actually take for granted this kind of knowledge over here. If you don't apply from there, that's why you cannot draw well. That's why your designs look bad and it doesn't look like what you're supposed to imagine inside your mind there, because you don't actually develop that kind of understanding from here. All right. But for this week, kind of what we call that submissions, you don't have to draw all this kind of fancy character if you don't want to. All right. It's more than enough for you guys to redraw back again these characters into those illustrations only. This kind of images into illustrations there. It's more than enough there, right? Yeah. But I just want to give you guys some examples. What are the options that you guys can play around with your kind of assignments there? Okay, you guys can have that kind of options there, right? You can try yourself to challenge yourself there, right? But using the samples that I give you guys that works. If you really want to play with your imaginations, go ahead. If you don't want to, keep that into your low-key kind of methods there. But you can find a lot of benefit from this kind of drawings there. For example, go back into those basic foundations there first. There's no point basically you need to draw like that if you don't know how to develop your skills. All right. So what I can do right here, I improve back again my skill from there, right? With these assignments there, right? Just like drawing the horse there, right? Remember that, right? But right now you draw basically human, and of course improve your drawing skills back again using the brush tools that we have. You guys can mix up your kind of drawings here using different kind of brushes that you want. Right now, let's just say I'm using a pen. And I can actually write, increase a bit more further on my kind of detailings there. Okay, to draw the nose basically, okay, from this side, yes, you have to draw basically those kind of lines. See? That. Slowly draw them there. Okay, the lips itself. This is the mouth, the upper lips, and these are going to be the lower lips there. Okay, the lower lips there. Okay. So you don't have to basically draw all those kind of imaginations, kind of characters. If you think that you cannot achieve this kind of skill at the moment yet, don't too rush already, because your final kind of works will still in a head already. The third kind of what we call that. The third kind of assignments or projects that we need to draw there, right? Take a look here, guys. Okay, even though I actually repeat the line over here, but can you guys see that, okay, how actually I try to refine my line altogether then? I really draw carefully there, okay, to develop that kind of strokes from here. Okay, this part basically to draw the eyes. Just like to draw the horses there, right? I really carefully, okay, improve my kind of drawings over here. It's all about improve your drawings back again. That's basically one of the most important thing that you have to keep that in your mind there. Right? Yeah. Right? To improve basically your kind of drawing skills that is. Okay, we can mix that around using a different kind of brushes there. I'm using 2 different brushes there, right? There 2 works. Right, to make a bit kind of like detailing on the hairline there. So mixed up with pencil, brushes, and also ink brushes there, right? So even though I want to draw the hair, okay, I didn't draw the hair like this, right? You see how actually I draw them? See, I repeat the line, but I keep my line become strokes there to form basically the formations of the hair. See? That's the difference between my kind of strokes that I actually produce right here and what some of you guys will be working on there, right? You don't actually, right, just give some excuses. Okay, this is my drawing skills then. No. This is basically how actually people draw, okay? Most people draw basically, right? Not basically it's my individual stroke, not that, okay? I have different kind of stroke that I can produce there. But this is basically the foundation kind of stroke that you should actually apply on your skill, especially for you guys who really has worst kind of drawing skills that you need to improve a bit more further. So when I draw the strokes there, guys, okay, I use the flows of the hair that works there. If the hair move into this side, so I'm going to draw with these directions directly. If it draw basic the hair actually move it to the right side, directly the left side of the flows, I'm going to change a little bit there, right? And of course, okay, from here, you can actually just what we call that improvise basically the hair kind of line there. Even though you can see there, okay, because this is also how actually you can practice your imaginations a bit. Okay, imaginations a bit there, right? For the start, okay, imagination doesn't have to be draw robot, all this kind of fancy kind of stuff all the time, right? But imaginations is all about how to improve your drawing skills, okay, by not just following the reference, but you can actually improve one step at a time there, right? Okay, to make some changes on your drawings here. That's how it goes there. Okay, you want to draw some etching kind of line, go ahead there. Okay, etching kind of line there. Okay? Etching kind of lines. And from here there, okay, I would just want to show a bit. If I want to change into different brushes there, guys, okay, soft round brushes there. I'm using soft round brushes normally, okay, for general kind of usage, okay, because soft round brushes, you have to change a little bit kind of low. Sometimes I'm using a very low kind of flows there, like 10.965 sometimes there, okay, depending on the percentage of shadows that I'm going to apply, okay, to create those form from this kind of images there, okay. And from here, and I'm going to change basically, we're going to use grayscale, not color there, guys, okay, at the moment. Then I'm going to add some shadows over here. If I use 9%, basically, I can actually press a little bit and control my shadows really well. Take a look here, right? Let me basically shadows, etc. Okay, you can control a bit more further. I'm using different layers there, guys. Okay, this is the shadow kind of layers. These are going to be the drawing there, right? Move on there, right? So how actually I'm going to adjust, right? Okay, see the shadows over here. Slowly adjust the shadows there, right? Okay, because the light came over here, okay, so the shadow fall off right here. So slowly I'm going to work. So this is basically basics kind of shadowing kind of techniques here that you work. Okay. Slowly work on that. So one of the best way for you guys not to get confused, okay, when you come to draw like this one, okay, I would suggest you copy, paste, close this one, put into the right side or left side, and you guys can actually write. Blend it over back again, all right? Of course, okay, the faces over here will be different there, okay, those kind of what we call it, the cheekbone there, okay. But it's okay, okay, because we're going to design our own characters there, right? Okay, so if the basically the structures will be kind of different, but not basically affected the proportions, it's okay there, guys. So we're not focusing on the perfections there. I want to see the properly kind of way to work on that first. So from here, okay, let's just say I actually write. One of the reasons I put aside because I don't want to make some spoil, kind of what we call that, depending too much on the layers there, right? So how actually I'm going to work on here, right? Okay, based on what I saw, the reference, and I'm going to redraw back again. So from here, there, right, okay, what you can do, you can increase a bit more further on those, the tone itself by adjust basically hue, saturation, brightness there, right? I'm using black there, right? So I'm going to increase a bit more further on the shadows there, slowly. And adjust the size of the brushes all the time there, guys. So this is basically some basic shadows that you guys can use, right, to apply the shadows on your illustrations there. And of course, okay, the hair I didn't color purely black because I want to leave some of the space right here. So for we to see the highlight, okay, because we don't actually copy the whole thing, okay. There has to be a difference between illustrations of your illustration with the pictures itself, okay? Because we don't want to make everything look opaque, and also what we call that doesn't have any kind of form that we can actually apply from these drawings over here. Okay, see? And remember, guys, okay, we don't actually draw her portraits here, but we use her kind of faces as a part of our lessons to develop basically our skills and understanding how to design the characters directly based on the reference. Okay. Remember, one of our main objective, okay, I didn't draw basically the nose trail, but I'm using shadows there to form basically the nose structures and the nose trail at the same time. The lips itself, slowly actually drop those kind of detailings on the lips, because the lip has to be a little bit more contrast but not too dark. In there. Guys, okay, slowly we develop the kind of shadowings kind of methods, okay, for our illustrations and drawings there. But if your line works look lousy there, okay, the shadows won't basically give a lot of impacts, okay, on your drawings or your illustrations at the same time there. So remember that, guys. So right now, basically, I just actually just shade some shadings on the hair like this. If you want to make a flow a bit more higher there, okay, then you actually can actually write. It doesn't have to press a lot. See? But later on, you can actually adjust back again all these kind of methods there, okay, using those kind of line works there. Right? Okay, wait up. And then what we can do from here, and use these brushes back again, the pencil brushes there, right? To draw a bit kind of detail there. Not these layers there. Don't mix them, okay? I'm using this kind of layers there for the shadows, and these layers for those drawings there, okay? 2 layers there, right? So I think pencil brushes doesn't look fine, okay? To press, I don't want to change basically those, what we call that, those kind of flows there first. So what I can do, I'm using pen brushes to add a little bit kind of detailings there. See? And one of the tips that I can give you guys, okay, if you want to draw a person or a character, right, make sure you fall in love with the characters. Not fall in love doesn't mean that you have to fall in love. Okay, generally, there, basically, yeah, you have to fall in love with your subject matters there. So that's how actually you can grow yourself from there. So basically, this one, okay, a lot of people have that kind of hard time, okay, to draw them there. What I can do, draw basically the outline there first. Right, the outline here. But the stroke itself there, okay, that apply basically the strokes. So it's not purely black over here there, guys, okay? If you look closely there, okay, there's a light over here, right? There's not pure black there, okay? I did not basically, okay, there's a hairline over here also they can actually apply there, okay? If you look closely there, okay, there's basically a shapes of hair there, okay? Structures of hair that actually cover this part there. That's why when you actually look carefully to your reference, when you start to develop this kind of drawings, yeah, right? you will start to engage with your understanding. See? This part basically, right, I can actually use different kind of methods of shadowing there, right? Basically the same like what I actually did for the hair and the faces, but when I actually want to add some shadings over here using these soft brushes, okay. So I'm going to basically slowly add some shadings over here. That's the size first, okay. But don't press too much there, guys, okay. Always learn to control your pressures there. Not too much there, right? Okay. You guys see there, okay? I can actually leave some of the line of it not too dark there, okay, to work on that. Because why? Because later on I can use also these methods, okay, to basically to adjust basically, okay, from this is basically some of the shoulder kind of pad, okay, from here, okay. If you want to make a very what we call that precise on the shape itself, you can use lasso tools, but don't use feather, right? If you don't, feather is going to be 0%, right? Do some selections like this, okay. Do some selections like this there, guys, and then add some shadows there, okay. That's how actually you guys can control it more further on your stroke and change the size there, right, to work on that. That's how actually you guys can go using lassos there. But don't use, okay, lassos. When you use lasso, okay, feather should be 0%. Okay, that's how actually you can control it more further on those kind of line over there. Don't forget to save your files at the same times. Okay, now guys, okay, even though, okay, this is basically some this area also you can use lasso if you want to. You don't want to mix up these kind of areas, right? Sometimes I'm using lassos like this one, but when I'm using lasso for the hairline there, guys, shapes there, the hair shapes there, right? Basically, I'm draw the lasso kind of lines, look a bit more further like a hair shapes there, see? And if I want to make some of the areas become a bit more like there is a highlight there, right? I can use this kind of method there. I'm using alternate, okay, to draw the negative space, okay, to separate the negative space there, okay, for the shadows line. Okay, see there, right? So from here, right, sometimes, okay, in this illustrations methods there, right, I'm using shift to select some of the areas over here. Okay, shift there, right, click shift to select the areas from here. All right, so either I can use the brushes back again, right, to paint, okay, there, and then I can use also let's just say ultimate ink. All right, gray colors a bit there, right, and draw basically the line work here. See the highlight there, right, a bit based on the structures itself there. See, highlight from there. We can draw the highlight also from here there, guys. That's how, that's basically how actually you can actually develop the quality of line, okay, from your illustrations there, right? Get some highlights over here. The eyes there, right? Highlight a bit to make the eyes a little bit more pop up, okay, and also the lips itself there, right? There. Even though this part basically, right, you guys can actually add some highlight if you want to. adjust the colors a bit. Yeah, some highlights over here. I slowly draw those lines. I get not too much there. You see the difference of these illustrations there. Okay, you can see you can actually work from there. But this kind of what we call that drawings there, okay? You don't have to draw robots there, right? But you can draw basically on top of this kind of what we call a reference back again, but you can actually engage with more detailing from this illustration there and add some shadings at the same time. Right? How far you can go from there, right? Okay? So the shadow itself, the shadows layer that I'm using, okay? I'm going to construct basically the shapes of the hair. You see that, right? The shapes of the hair here there, guys. See? I'm constructing the shapes of the hair using the lasso tools. Right. I mixed up the techniques, the methods over here. And then I'm going to add some sort of the flows of the hair a little bit kind of like the curved line right here there, right? I'm going to mix them up. So this part basically, okay, they saw basically some of the parts basically have mixed with very loose kind of shapes of those hair that can actually absorb basically the skin from those head there, right? So I mix them up all together here. So in terms of techniques there, okay, like some of you guys might going to say, okay, learn the techniques like image manipulations. This is a technique for illustrations. To draw those illustrations in Photoshop that I actually use a lot, okay, for my works. I kind of like separate between the highlights a bit from here using those lasso tools. Okay, these areas, okay, you guys can actually redraw back again if you want to there. So right now I separate them first. Then using the soft brushes back again from shadows, slowly I'm going to, oops, a little white there, right? Sorry there, guys. Okay. But not press too much like this there, okay? I actually flow those shadows there slowly here. Don't press too much there, right? Okay? Slowly basically paint it up. Okay, the flows. The hairline there. And of course, okay, do a lot of practice, right? Can you see the shadows from here? The hairline, the shapes itself, okay? I draw the shapes of it right here first, before I'm going to mix them up later on with those hairline. All right? Okay, this is basically not an advanced technique, but this is basically some of the, a little bit kind of what we call the detailing that I actually use for my illustrations there. If I want to draw a bit more details there, okay? And it takes some time that you work on that, okay? But you can improve by drawing slowly there. That's what I say, okay? You want to draw some imagination drawings? Yes, you can. But there is no point to draw these imagination drawings, right? If you don't improve your drawing skill there first. That's the thing. Okay, don't talk about how to draw manga there first, okay? But if you can actually improve your skills of drawings over here by using the reference itself there first, right? By using the reference itself there first. That's why we learn back again the basics, the foundations there. So if you have a strong foundations, you can draw whatever that you want in the future. Okay, but don't draw from other people's works there, right? Don't trace from other people's work there first. And of course, skills to develop your kind of improvement on your drawings right here, really important step to work there. From here, guys, okay, in illustrations, you have to make sure that, okay, this part basically has to be a bit more darker than in the illustration point of view there, right? This part, okay, it'll be more lighter than this one. This one a bit more like an inside hole there, okay? So what you can do, okay, from the shadows kind of perspective over here, there, okay, I'm going to add a little bit kind of dark. But This side has the light actually right here, so I have to compromise the shadows kind of methods from here, so I can actually make this part a bit more darker than this one, right? So that's how actually you can get more contrast on the shape itself there. So it doesn't have to be dark the whole time, okay? Because in the illustrations, we make sure we have to define the light and shadows, the levels of light and shadows in those illustrations there first. Because comparing to reference, comparing to my to the actual kind of reference that we have, illustration has to be a little bit more better than the actual one again. They have to be separated again between the quality there at the same time, but still doesn't look awkward. It doesn't look what we call that lousy or whatever that we call there. Okay, to make the illustration look more better, okay, than the actual one. That's basically one of the main objectives at the same time, there, guys. Okay. So far, any questions? All these kind of details, don't worry about that, guys. How to apply those kind of details if I want to apply those kind of details. My kind of way of working is really, really simplified there. How actually going to work on that? Easy there, guys. I'm going to use those contour line drawing styles that I get to work with, see? Don't worry too much there. I'm using the contour line drawings there, guys, to work. Mix them up all together. See? Mix them up all together. This one, okay? Little bit kind of detail there, okay? What kind of detail there, okay? Using the contour line styles. See? I'm using contour line drawings there to work there. Because that's what illustration is all about there, right, guys? Even though we have using those geometric shapes kind of works there, right? But we can always mix them up there, see? This part basically, but as long as you can develop the right kind of quality of line, everything are going to be look fine, okay? In those illustrations there. See from here? Okay, the crumple of the shapes there, right? See? I'm using the what we call that? The contour line drawings there to work with it. That's why, okay, you don't have to avoid all this kind of methods there, okay, when you learn something new here from my kind of what we call that classes there. So we can actually add a bit more further on the line works of the for the hair, right? Slowly, right, draw the sketch line of here. I don't want to draw this part, right? Okay, this is some like what labuchi or whatever, right? Accessory, okay. Some of things you can avoid them if you want to. In illustrations, we have that kind of ability to avoid some of the things that we don't want to draw. This one I can actually draw some bit kind of etchings over here, mix them up, right? Some etchings over this armpit there, right? Okay. Yeah. Not draw this one lah. Okay. Don't draw the imaginations that if you want to draw, go ahead, right? Okay. But I don't want to, right? Okay. If I want to draw, make some fun of it, yes, can, right? You see. To practice my hairline kind of drawings, yes, I can if I want to. Is it okay, guys? How about girls there? Is it okay if I draw like this one? Yeah? Right. So we make fun of it. We have fun of working if you want to there, okay? So depending there, okay? If you want to practice your hairline of strokes, or you want to draw some imaginations kind of things, right? For example, there, okay? You want to draw some imaginations kind of thing. It doesn't have to be a complex kind of elements there. Sometimes you have fun to draw them, okay, to work on that and try to make a bit ridiculous, but still work for your imaginations. Small things that you actually make some changes will give a lot of impact on your kind of understanding, guys. Remember that. So it doesn't have to be all the times. Let's just say this one, you cannot see the hair, okay, but you know basically she has basically a messy kind of hair, right? So why don't you draw them, right? But not too much lah, okay? Because sometimes, okay, if you draw too much, basically you're going to be ruined a bit, okay? You saw some illustration work from other people, okay? They actually use an outline for those strokes there, right? A very thick outline right here. Okay, this is also a part of those illustration style that you guys can use that to work, okay? I believe that one of the comic artists that's they call Eddie Granoff, okay, who actually is a concept artist for Iron Man movies, for the first Iron Man movie. Okay, he used a lot of this kind of what we call that detailings there. Okay, using those kind of outline, the stroke outline. Okay, to develop the skills, to develop the illustration styles there. Okay, you guys can use also. Can you see the impact? Okay, the different kind of impact that we actually can use. Okay, if we going to use an outline a bit kind of sharp and solid there. Okay, they give different kind of impact on your illustration at the same time. So, oops, not too much there, right? Okay, outline only we draw this the detailing on the strokes there. Okay, a bit kind of sharp on the strokes there. So they give a little bit kind of impact on your visual, what we call representations. Okay, but not too much there. See, I didn't attempt to draw realistics, but it came becoming realistic. Okay, as far as I actually try to develop that kind of detailings there. They will come to that kind of levels there, guys. I didn't actually plan them, right? Okay? Just want to draw every detail. Okay? But if you don't actually stress too much on those detailings there, all this kind of detailings, all this kind of perfections will came over to your presentations there spontaneously there, guys. Because my focus basically to develop this kind of shadows, lines, strokes really well there. Okay, those basically my main objective there, guys. I didn't actually plan to draw as realistic that I want, but the way that I show you guys will lead into that kind of what we call that quality of works that we can see from here. So that's basically also one of the psychology kind of twisted around on those kind of what we call that your reverse your psychology when you produce your works there. Because when you focus too much on I want to make as perfect as I want, like I want it perfect, okay, you won't be able to get it right there, guys. You will stress yourself a lot and you will find a lot of difficulty from there. But if you don't focus on those perfections, naturally they will come to you when you actually focus on your kind of understanding you develop your skill from. Trust me on that. Okay, because the way that I showed you just now, okay, I didn't focus on realistic, right? I didn't focus on the perfections there, but I show you guys how actually going to define the light, shadows, forms, structures there, the directions of light, the proportions, the line works there, right? Those are the things that I try to apply from my demonstrations. Okay, like this one, okay? There's a light over here, so I'm going to apply some of the shadows line there. Slowly, right? Okay, draw the shadows line there. Right? The shadows kind of shift at first. So this part basically, okay, you can actually apply the shadows a bit and leave the highlight a bit there, right? So highlight a bit there, right? Okay, over there. So when you close it, right, so you can see, right, that you add a bit kind of detailing from here. Right. You guys can actually use what we call that. Put aside a little bit, okay? Put aside a little bit your illustrations there. For example, like this one. All right. Okay. Then you actually can a little bit more better, okay, from this side, right? Slowly, right, clean it up. You can. Okay. Remember, guys, okay, whatever that we do, we don't trace them. We use it as part of our reference first. Okay. Paint slowly there, right? And then you add a bit more and more details then later on. Right? Look into the directions there at the same times of those shadows flows before you go to work on that. Okay. Any questions? What is it, Attila? Right. Thank you. Any questions, guys? At the moment, how to engage with your assignments or final works this week? we just redraw back again, okay? I give you guys simple solutions basically, but not that simple. I know that, okay? Okay, especially if you have basically a still struggling on your drawing stroke there, guys. Okay, that's why I want you guys to not do too slow, okay, slowly, but patiently develop your skill from here. Okay, I know basically, okay, some of you guys want to draw robot characters or whatever character that you want to draw there, right? Okay, but if you don't draw, if you don't improve your skills first, what's the point to draw all these kind of monsters, creatures there, okay? Because you're going to draw them maybe in the future, because we have another 2 assignments, like 2 projects, okay? The second one going to be draw animals there. Animals, okay? I'm going to give you guys some sample of animals kind of reference. And the third one, you combine the human and also the animals characters together in one compositions there. And of course, okay, the what we call the reference are going to be different, right? So you guys will get a surprise on that, okay? But the thing is, right now, I want you guys to improve first your skills back again. Always keep that in your mind, okay? Illustrations kind of classes, it's not all about just to complete those assignments or projects only there, okay? But we want to improve our skills there, drawing skills back again. We want to draw in the correct way. We don't want to turn out, okay, by the end of the what we call that, by the end of our lessons there, all right, we still want to draw like this. I really want to see Sim Hong improve there, right? Okay, from here, really there, okay. If you can improve 50%, 50% or 60% of your skills, not 100%, okay, I will be glad there, okay. I will joy myself. I will celebrate myself, okay. I don't know what I'm going to celebrate, okay, but I try to celebrate myself, okay. Okay, on myself only there, okay, not without you there, right? To have that kind of what we call that joyness, okay, of teaching you guys there. All right, that's all the things there, guys, okay, because you don't have to give me any presents, okay. The present that you should actually prepare yourself to for me, basically to improve your skill from here. Right, those are the things that I want to see there, guys. I know it's not that easy. Look easy for you guys to see my demonstrations, but try to make a bit more slower kind of way of workings, okay, to see the things that we can actually produce from here there, guys, okay. But always bear in your mind, we don't focus on perfections. Naturally, those perfections will, the perfect kind of drawing will actually, right, appears on your kind of drawings, on your results, when you focus on the fundamentals kind of works there. Fundamentals kind of works there. Be patient that works with that and keep on practicing. Okay? If you don't have any questions there, okay, this is basically some of the demonstrations that lead into our assignments submissions for this week. All right, we have 6 drawings that to complete there, right? We start to work now. For group 5 and group 1, okay, when you enter the room there, okay, please make sure you start to practice here right now. I want to see 1 or 2 of you guys share those demonstrations so we can see how actually you start to do those work at the same times. And hopefully I can continue with this kind of drawings because I have to, what we call that, okay, because you know what, guys, okay, I want to not promote there, okay, but I want to share with you guys what I've been working on for this weekend there, okay. Basically, all right, if you saw, basically I draw all this kind of stuff there, okay, but my kind of basically works right now, my kind of what we call that, not interest, okay, but I basically just launched one of my side kind of projects Instagram, okay, because I've been basically, okay, developed this project for so many years, but I have to hold a little bit because of my kind of schedule and time and energy that, okay, I cannot bring over all the time that I get from there. This is basically what I actually have working on, okay. This is basically one of the new channels that I actually create, okay, because I'm going to create another channels over there, okay, on the YouTube channels, okay. This is basically a short animated kind of series there, right? Short animated series. Okay? I've been developed this character for several years there, okay? And I've been animating and developed this kind of what we call that movements testing before I'm going to launch them and before I'm going to hire someone actually going to develop it more further on the future stories there. But right now I develop a bit more on the foundations there of these projects before I can hand over to other people there. If you guys want to follow these kind of channels, please follow them, right? Okay, to get some followers from there, and hopefully can give me also some of the energies, okay, to develop it more content from here again. But this is basically a very simple animated content. Okay. Maybe the series is going to be around 1 minute, 30 seconds, or 2 minutes, okay, long there, okay, for each episode there, right? So you guys can actually follow them if you want to, right? Okay. Please follow them if you want to there, right? Okay. And this is some of uh, the simple kind of what we call that montage that I create, okay? I combining Adobe Animate, Adobe Flash, After Effects, and also Instagram's kind of editings there, right? Okay, this is basically the right. All right. So the name of this animated kind of we call that channels is Chinchai there, okay? Chinchai, you know what Chinchai means there, right? Okay, whatever there, right? Okay, cartoons there. But we have basically the directions and also the characters that involved with every single episode. Okay, I have a few number kind of design that actually been created. Okay, recently, right? Okay, previously there, right? Okay, so I'm going to use these kind of characters to make a short kind of animated kind of series there. So this is basically one of the characters, and all these characters basically, right? Okay, I will share with you guys furthermore later on. Okay, how actually I create some IPs from here, okay, and also how actually I what we call that secure basically my kind of protections on these kind of characters at the same time, okay. There's a few legal kind of we call that process that we can do on ourselves there, okay, to protect this kind of animated. Other than we put on those Instagrams, we put some statements on that, but what we call that legal kind of formality that we can use, okay, what we call it outside the visual kind of world of social media, we can actually use them also at the same time, okay, to work on that. Basically, this all has the movement and animation there, but I just create some of the very still images there, okay, based on the reactions and also expressions on these two characters there, orange and blue there, okay, that I call them, all right, because all these characters basically came from our previous project that we did, basically just basically right stop, okay, the productions of the pilot project there, okay, before actually saw lava there, okay. I actually had developed these characters in animated series there before, right? I just want to share with you guys the right, okay, from here. One of the names is this one there, okay, but this project basically have been dumped over there, okay, because as a kind of legal kind of IP issues there. So basically, this is one of my creations, but I'm not create the animations there. I develop the concept, I create the character design, I create all this kind of storyboard there, right? Okay, and the direction itself there, right? So this called Ula Ule there, okay. But based from this one, suddenly lava came out there, okay, because when I do those research with the team itself, we never actually saw basically lava before, okay. But suddenly when I actually start to create those colors, combinations there, the character itself, okay, that based from other people's ideas there. Because these ideas is not originally from me there, okay. This came from one of the creators, from one of the person that I never know the person, okay, but he actually had been hired our company at the times to work with this kind of content, right? So what basically I did, I improvised back again these ideas and I adjust that back again, okay, into the more current kind of what we call that design that we actually need to develop at the time. Like I think around 2000, I start to create it around 2009 there, okay, 9, 10, 11 there, okay. So we launched in 11 there. But we cannot go further from here because there's an IP kind of issues between two or three parties there, right? So it's quite complicated, guys, when it comes to design and develop if you don't own that kind of IPs there. So because I cannot actually continue with this kind of projects with that team there, okay, even though we have go to TV stations there to pitch the ideas, everything, okay, but we cannot go further because of that kind of issues there. So we wouldn't want to have that kind of legal issue, some of the summon issue, whatever that we have there, okay, in the futures. So we have to stop them, okay, in the few number kind of shorties that we had developed with the team. So I start to develop this Chincai cartoon there, okay. I have a few number kind of characters, including this icon characters is one of the main characters from there. So I start to over back again, okay. Thank you very much, guys. Okay, some of the followers over there, right, okay. Okay, if you really, because to follow the rag is for free there, okay, but hopefully you guys can see a bit more further later, okay. We never know there, okay, before you graduate and after you graduate, or if you think that you want to use these characters later on for your FYP projects, and then you can actually maybe, I don't know, okay, maybe I can hire you guys as a freelancers to animate those characters later on, right, okay. You never know that, right, okay, in the future there. So just pray that for me at the same time there, okay, that we can continue them back again and make some money from these projects there, okay. Those are the things that the most important that you can make revenue from there. So I really love to see some of the students, some of the my friend, also some of strangers supporting this kind of project. That before I'm going to go for into the kickstart, maybe in the futures, I'm going for another kind of funding directly, kind of what we call the things that can be make this project a little bit more alive. Okay, but right now I self funding this project, so I can my own there because I don't want to rely too much on the investor there, because one of the reasons because I want to hold the IPs there. I want to make sure that I can control the IP at the same times. I can control also the ideas there at the same time. Okay, because the main kind of power that we can actually have as a creators, as a visual creators, is you have control your own IPs there. But of course, later on you have to share with other people at the same time. That's why when I design the characters nowadays, I try to make a bit more simplified kind of design there, because I want to make sure that the new generations, even though my kids there, I actually been discussed with one of my kids there. Okay, she's 14 years old. She loves to draw also. Okay, I told her that okay, maybe in the future she actually can take over this kind of project at the same time. Okay, those are the things that I planned right. So at least the new generations, if you don't have any idea for it, I don't have any ideas what to work, but I just want to develop myself and make some profit on my kind of skills there. So you guys can actually start to work with this kind of projects there first as a part of your build up your portfolios there. Right? Okay, those are the things that okay we can do from there. So that's basically this is the my kind of future planning that I actually develop right now. And hopefully, right, okay, if I can live long enough, I can actually make it as part of my retirement projects there, right? Other than I do something else there, right? Okay. So retirement projects, basically I still do those animations or engage those animations kind of work. Okay. That's basically one of my future plan there, right? Okay, to work on that. So guys, okay, please follow these kind of channels there, right? Okay. So I'm going to upload later on, okay, but not this week. Basically, the one of the first animations, okay, first kind of series from this Orient and Blue, because I'm still animate these characters there. And if you guys can actually write so, okay, most okay, all the parts that I do basically for this Chincai cartoon project at the moment, okay, I did not engage with other people, so any of my friends yet, okay. I just talked one or two of my friends who actually really trust, like I really trust, okay, but I will engage them later on, okay, for the further kind of we call that things that I can actually plan with it, okay. But right now, most of it basically I do it myself, from sound effects, voice over, basically, right, okay, some voiceover kind of miming effects, right, okay. Even though some music there, okay, I arrange everything on myself there, right, okay. So if you can develop that kind of multiple kind of skills right now, when you learn multimedias, you can actually develop those skills. You can develop this skill also at the same time. Okay, those basically that we want to have with our students there. Multimedia, you can develop your kind of skills that get from here. Okay, those are the things that we actually want to achieve from our student at the same time, there, guys. All right. So if you don't have any questions there, guys, thank you very much for having me today. If you have any questions, please pass me basically on our what we call that in WhatsApp. Okay, as usual. So, okay, thank you very much for those who actually have submit, okay, on our WhatsApp group over here. All right, and hopefully you guys, okay, will develop more further on our skill, okay, that we try to engage, okay, for our illustrations for this week's. All right, slowly develop the skills and draw every day. All right, okay, you guys have 6 days more there, okay, to work on that. So one day, one drawings, okay, is more than enough there, okay? So plan to work on that. All right, guys. So if you have any questions, or if you have any questions, ask me on WhatsApp there, okay? And I see group 5 and group 1 later there, okay? We take a break around 10 minutes to 15 minutes, and then we can continue. And if you guys can work on that, okay, before we get start our work, is more better there, guys, okay, for group 5 there. All right, see you guys then later on, and take care, you guys. Be safe, and good luck also with your kind of project 1 for this week. Okay, bye-bye.
Thank you, sir.
Welcome there, guys.
Thank you, sir.
Welcome there, guys, okay.